And now let's welcome in the Malzberg panel for today. David Goodfriend, Democratic strategist and former aide to President Bill Clinton, and Tom Tancredo, former congressman, of course, and former candidate for president of the United States, joins us. Gentlemen, welcome to both of you. Mary Matlin was just saying about Mitt Romney that a Dudley Do-Right like Romney cannot compete with a guy, I think she said a guy from Brooklyn like Donald Trump, like a street guy. And that basically Romney should not consider running for third party, because he would lose. And if he forces Trump into a third party at the convention, then the Republicans would lose. So let me start with Congressman Tancredo on the Republican side. You agree with her?
I do. I certainly agree with the fact that he better not think about running. I saw some reference to him coming in on a white horse. However, I assure you that if he climbs on any horse and tries to get into this Republican primary, it will be on a merry-go-round, because all he'll do is go around in circles. It won't go anywhere, and he shouldn't do it. And how ridiculous it was for him, really, to do what he did if the purpose was to try and stop Trump. Because, frankly, when the greatest support base for Trump is from people who are really, they just hate the establishment.
Right.
and Trump considers himself to be the consummate outsider, and he's being attacked by the consummate insider. Believe me, I'd be a happy guy if I were Trump under those circumstances.
David, you don't think, David, that Trump wrote Romney a check to come do this, do you?
Well, no, I don't think he did, and I agree with Congressman Tancredo that the effort to diminish Trump probably backfired, and that this just plays right into Donald Trump's narrative of how the establishment is trying to take him down and how we need to stand up to the establishment. So in that sense, I do think it was probably counterproductive. The one narrative that I thought Mitt Romney laid out that might draw blood is his direct attack on the business credentials of Trump. In other words, I got the sense that maybe the powers that be in the Republican Party thought that if we rolled out the former businessman Mitt Romney to take on the current businessman Donald Trump and say, no, you're actually not good at business, that maybe this is the only guy who can do that, since nobody else in the current presidential field really has those credentials. That may be one tactic here that sticks. But by and large, I agree with the congressman that the effort to take Trump down probably will backfire if Mitt Romney is the spokesperson.
Yeah, and Congressman, the problem with David's scenario, though, is that I already played the soundbite of the 2012 Trump endorsement where Romney said, hey, Donald's a much better businessman than I am. So
yeah, right. That's why I don't think, honestly, even the poking around at his business credentials, I honestly don't think it's going to matter one bit. There was an interesting editorial op-ed actually today that I was reading. Krauthammer, who I oftentimes just think is a pompous ass in many ways, but he really did talk about the fact that, because it was an anomaly. How can people who are conservative Christians, the most conservative group inside the party, let's say, how can they be supporting Trump, who is certainly not, a zealot?
Yeah, well, that's been an anomaly. Well, listen, I got to go. We'll come back. We have another part to go with David Goodfriend and Tom Tancredo. David, we'll start with you when we come back right here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Do not go away. And rejoining us on the Malzberg panel, David Goodfriend is with us, and former Congressman Tom Tancredo. All right, this is news that broke today as well. Donald Trump, yesterday he talked about being flexible, guys, when it came to any issue, basically, and it was a regard to the New York Times off-the-record conversation on immigration. And now he issued a statement today saying in that statement that he understands that the United States is bound by laws and treaties, and he said he would not order our military or other officials to violate those laws and will seek advice on such matters. He added, I will not order a military officer to disobey the law. It is clear that as president, I will be bound by the laws just like all Americans. And he's talking about torture, or waterboarding and the fight on terror. So, David, let me start with you. I said I would. What is this going to say to Trump supporters?
Well, I think it's telegraphing more of what we'll hear if Donald Trump really is the nominee. In other words, let's forget about the Trump phenomenon. Anytime you have a presidential election, it begins with candidates playing to the base. On the Democratic side, you have people playing to the left. On the Republican side, you have people playing to conservatives on the right. And then suddenly there's a play for independent voters in the middle. Maybe, just maybe, Donald Trump is already assuming that he will be the nominee, which is a fine assumption, I think, and is trying to stake out ground as the unifier, as somebody who is going to appeal to moderates in the Republican Party, maybe even independents and Democrats nationwide. The question I have is, if he does that, does he risk alienating, as you say, the very people who've been supporting him up till now? I don't think so. I think he's going to steamroll to the nomination, and then, of course, my candidate, Hillary Clinton, will beat him.
What about it, Congressman?
Well, I certainly agree with Donald in this regard. As I started to say, the conservative Christians are with him, even though he's not a Christian. My point was, the people who are with him at this point in time, his base, they aren't going anywhere. I don't care what he says, what he does, how many times he flip-flops, because they are simply mad as hell at Washington. He's the guy that they think will take him on, and they don't care about anything else. And so I don't care how many times he reverses course. And I also agree that he is perhaps bringing a brand new way of campaigning in primaries to this one, where he's moving to the center even before the primary is over. I think that's an absolutely accurate observation. I think he's totally wrong about Hillary Clinton.
Guys, I want you to hear from former Democratic presidential candidate Jim Webb. Listen.
Would you vote for Hillary Clinton?
No, I would not vote for Hillary Clinton.
Would you vote for Donald Trump?
I'm not sure yet. I don't know who I'm going to vote for.
No, but not Hillary Clinton.
No.
All right, David, this comes as we get more and more stories. FBI investigating if Clinton aides shared passwords to access classified information because they were transferred apparently from one server to another. Also, the limited immunity given to the guy who set up her whole server. And now you got the Clinton team taking aim at yet the Inspector General for the State Department, after they took aim and made accusations against the Inspector General of the intelligence community. What's going on here?
Well, first let me start with Jim Webb. I respect his military service. I respect his service in the Senate. However, he has served under Republican administrations and ran as a Democrat. I'm not sure I would really care much when he says he won't vote for Hillary.
All right, on to the FBI stuff. Go ahead, quick.
Oh, okay. This is a guy who couldn't win single digits in a presidential election. Let's move off of him. So when it comes to the FBI investigation, Hillary Clinton offered to testify before the DOJ investigators back in August. The fact that they are now preparing to interview her means that the investigation is likely coming to a close. They're taking her up on her offer from back in August.
Okay, I got to go. I got to go. Final word, Tom, quickly, 10 seconds.
Yeah, well, if she's indicted, hell, I don't care. I don't care who's running against her. It's all over with, and I think she probably will be.
All right, guys, thank you very much, David Goodfriend, Tom Tancredo. Appreciate it very much. We are coming back, folks. Don't go away.